Trading the foreign exchange market carries high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Trading on margin, utilizing leverage can carry an even higher level of risk that can lead to a complete loss of investment funds. So before deciding to trade the foreign exchange market or using any of our software alert products, you should carefully and diligently consider your personal investment objectives, level of experience, and risk tolerance. There is a possibility that you could potentially sustain significant loss. You should not invest any capital or trade that you cannot afford to lose. It is your responsibility to be aware of and understand all risks associated with foreign exchange trading and to seek professional advice from an independent certified financial advisor if you have any doubts. Auvoria Prime does not exercise trading authority over your trades. You and you alone exercise discretionary trading authority over every trade.
And right now on Forex Factory, we're looking at for today, we have a couple of red folders at 8:30 with the U.S. core retail sales and retail sales. Should make a little bit of movement off of that. It's a red folder. And that's about all I see for the rest of the day on this one. And we're going to check out tomorrow while we're here. Tomorrow's going to be a little bit busier day. 8:30, we have some CAD news, and 10:30 and 2 o'clock, actually 2 o'clock primarily, and the U.S. FOMC economics projections. There's a lot of red folders there tomorrow afternoon, so you may want to be careful about that with the U.S. and the Aussie and New Zealand all around. Well, the Asian session, the New Zealand around the Asian session, somewhere between 5:30 and 8:30. So keep that in mind if you're trading that time of the day. And let's see here. Looking at the New Zealand, Aussie New Zealand. Right now, we did get an alert with that to show it. Right now, if we let me trade the charts here. If I sound a little froggy, it's because I am.
You have a cold?
Well, it's allergies. It's the allergies.
Oh, okay.
They are rearing their ugly head. And so, everybody see my arrow charts?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, so the last alert I saw was in Aussie, New Zealand. It has an up arrow. If we scroll down to see where our we have 3 red zones above, 2 green zones below, so it is in a downtrend with an up arrow, contra trend trade, and downtrend. And we'll mark that. And we'll open this up a little bit and see where and you can see that there's really kind of sandwiched in between this zone, so there's not enough room to really be taken, I don't think. You're in the best of conditions. Yeah, there's 20 pips in between, but we're looking for a 20 pip from where the entry alert is. And you can see that that's not even close to that. This blue line would be the entry alert. Might be right about in there, and that would only give you probably 5 or 6 pips before it gets up to the zone. And you can see it's been trending back and forth between that zone for quite a while. As you go on a 15-minute chart. Double check your charts to make sure you're on the time frame you want them to be on. I try and keep all mine on a 15-minute. Actually, there's a little doji right there. That's the little dojis, or that's where the buyers and sellers open and close that candle at the same spot. And yeah, there's just not much of a trade. There's not much room. But you can see from all day yesterday till day. Yesterday was really a pretty flat day. You didn't see a lot of movement in the market. We took a couple trades yesterday. It took all day just to get profitable. The second one we took out, the New Zealand trade, that worked out a little bit better. But the U.S. yen trade that we took, it took me all day just to break even on that one. Break even, go back and pull back, and eventually I just took it out at pretty much break even. If it takes that long for something to develop, it's in such a range that you may just save your emotional inventory and just save your time and just move on. At least that's my theory. Let's see here. I'm gonna go back and check all my charts to make sure that I'm on the 15-minute that I want to be on. There's one that's on 5. I need to get that back to 15. I have to do this periodically throughout the morning because I keep getting asked different time frames. There's another one. It should be on 15. If you have it on whatever time frame you have it, that's the time frame you're going to get the alert on. So if you have them on 5-minute charts, you're going to get them a lot faster. And then my gold and my indexes are on 5-minute charts. Any questions so far? If you have any questions or comments, if you would put them in the question answer box as opposed to the chat box, you're more likely to see them. And that would help Christine and Eva out to keep everyone on top of the what your inputs are. It just helps everybody out. And let's see here. What else do we have? There's CB. I'll move him over. CCB's here this morning. And that should pretty much take care of it.
Morning, guys.
Good morning, CB. I'm going to make the
Morning.
assumption you wanted to help join us this morning here.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it.
Good. Well, we like having you.
Thank you.
Have you seen anything in your end of the world here that would be of interest to us?
Nothing yet. I've been scanning the charts here a little bit. Haven't seen too much this morning yet.
Looks like our favorite Bitcoin is still hanging right there on the 55,000 level.
Yeah, Ethereum and Bitcoin have been ranging a bit last 8 hours or so.
Yeah. It
Al,
takes
you
no
have your
prisoners.
first,
Oh, go
you have
ahead.
your first question.
Oh, okay.
Dennis would like to know, do you know when the new program will be available? And then I have too many 5-minute and 15-minute charts up. So there's probably duplicates on that, but you may know about.
I can answer a little bit, so I still am testing Arrow 4.0. I'm looking at it right now. I haven't spoken to Nate this week, but I know that there are some VPN upgrades, I guess, that Nate's trying to get in place that will make 4.0 a little more consistent. Occasionally what happens right now at 4.0 is certain alerts don't appear. And we figured out some logic to it. So it's just, it's being cleaned up, but it's great. Once all that's cleaned up, we'll have it out hopefully this week. But it's sort of a day by day or week by week situation getting Arrow 4.0 out, but it's being tested by some of us, and hopefully it'll be out soon.
Well, good. It's always good to get that update. Thank you. Appreciate that. And let's see, we do have at 6:15 this morning, we had an alert with the Iris alert at US Swiss. We can take a look at that one and see if there's anything there to pay attention to. Let me pull that up, US Swiss. I'll do that on my trading view charts. Now it's at 6:15. And what we do is that we go into a 15-minute chart. Find 6:15, we'll draw a vertical line at 6:15. That's right about there. And as you can see, it already broke out. It looks like it broke out the bottom. Let's see what kind of a alert we had on that. That was a ascending wedge on the US Swiss. Ascending, that basically means that's going from low to high. So again, I like to look and see where the daybreak was, and look and see where we are, where we got the alert, and see what the pivot high, pivot low was. And that's generally my starting point, unless there's a significant high that I can see on the day before. This is pretty much my starting point, and I'll draw a box right around the high and the low of the range before the alert. Right about like that. That's my playground. That's where it's just going back and forth, and it's waiting to break out. It did break out at the bottom here. And that 6:15, that was the alert came at 6:15, which means it was at the open of the 6:15 candle. So it was the open of this red candle right here where the blue line, where the yellow line is. So that would be my starting point. So the alert came at the close of the candle before that line. That's the way that works. It just gives the alert on the close and just before it opens up the next candle. So now there's a low, there's a high. Try and tuck this in as close as we can before we get the alert. Here's our break. Here's our triangle. So basically it's a trend line. Here's an anchor. Here's a hit. Here is the alert. Broke down. And now it looks like it's coming down. And it's now this one just sort of went and just kept on going. It didn't even stop to look back at all. And you can see where the price on this, when it broke, oftentimes you'll see it have a retrace back to the trend line. That's a 26 pip move right there. That's pretty significant. Right? The first would have been 10 pips. So basically it broke 10 pips. It never really did retrace, but now we have a little drop. Here's a little basing. Could very well drop again. I'd be looking at this one as being a possibility to go short on it as it's stalling from and looking at a target. Take it from the high to where it broke. Here's a little flag pattern. And then the target would be right down here. I'll put it right down between, right around in this area. And I'll move this up about halfway just to be a little bit ahead of the game. So this would be my target. And we'll go to the left and see if there's anything over to the left of the chart that would help to support that area as being the target. Remember, we saw that price has memory, and we look to see to the left of the chart where the price came, where this area was tested before. And if you keep on looking over, it's got a long ways to go. We'll go to a daily chart. I'll go to a 4-hour chart, see if we can find something on the 4-hour chart. Yeah, this area right in here. So if I let's go to 1 hour, see if I can, yeah, there we go. We can find it with a 1 hour. We spread this out. I'm gonna slide this all the way over and see if we can kind of tweak this a little bit. And you can see right here, had this strong move up, came up, pulled back. There's a little wick right here. That wick is right in the middle where this zone was tested before. So that's probably a pretty good area to be looking for a target to the downside. Come back over. That line is where the wick of that where that wick was. And now we're looking to see what kind of room do we have. If you look over, nothing here. The price is still, actually it could run into a little bit of a problem over on this area right here. It hasn't broken to this pivot area. This would be another area that we have to be concerned about. And that's pretty much right where that first target would be, the 50%. So actually I have 2 potential targets on this one. And you can see it came right down to the top of that, and it looks like it's that's where that rejected. It's testing this zone right here. You can see that this is not just by happenstance. This is all kind of pre-planned. Not my planning, but the market's planning. You see, so it's going to have a little problem getting through this. Once it can break through that, this will be the next target. But right now, it's got to get through this zone. So it did find a little bit of support. It bounced off of it. Now the question is, can it penetrate through here? And then we look and see what kind of strength we have. And we do have a little bit of a convergence down here, looking for it to come back to the upside. But it's not going to do it right away, and it's going to be bouncing around in here for a little bit still. And so you may want to just be careful about this one. Right now it's sitting in a 10 pip range for the last hour and a half. So we'll keep an eye on that one. And let's see, looks like we have a British New Zealand. Take a look at that one. And it's in a buy, 15-minute chart. 1, 2, 3, 4 red. It's probably going to be a, well, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right now it's about even between the buyers. It's pretty much going sideways. No real clear direction. Looks like it's going sideways. Slide this over. And we'll just do arrows in both directions. That way we'll know. And arrow down. Zones are equal there. Slide it back a little bit. See what we have for. Now, if the zones are equal, equal red, equal green, we want 50 pips in between the zones to be able to take the trade. And let's see what we got on this one. That's 47. That's close enough for me to be willing to take that if it is. And we have a target area with this 200 moving average up here in the red zone, but that's still far enough away. And I think I'm going to be willing to take this one. Let's see what it looks like on the 5 minutes. See if there's anything on the 5 minute that may give us pause to reconsider. Yeah, there is a little bit of a range right here. And we're right
Hey,
at
Al.
the 5 minute. Yes.
Just for other callers on the line, I'm looking at the same chart with a different broker, and I have another red zone where on the M15 where the current price is literally in the middle of it. Just for the record. So
Okay.
yeah, so where you're seeing clear skies right there right now, I'm literally in another resistance zone right now. You can kind of see
on a 15-minute chart. Okay.
Yeah, where all those fractals are kind of lined up,
Okay.
there's definitely a resistance zone on. I'm on NV, which I know a lot of people are, and there's another red zone. Just so you know.
Okay. Well, good. Well, let's maybe we have a deal breaker here. Let's see if we can find a deal breaker. Let's pay attention to this. We'll mark this one. We don't have to be in a real big hurry. That's with the alert, and that was at 192.78. So 192.78. We have a little bit of let's see. The British is a little bit stronger than New Zealand. New Zealand is the yellow one. That's that heat map that we have. I just have it on the chart here. We are in somewhat of an uptrend. We're on a 15-minute chart. We do have a little zone right in here where we had a trend line. It broke through the trend line. I should do it the other way. Start up top. There's a high. There's a low. Here's a. And we have this. I'm going to use this for a trend here. We have an anchor. Here's the near hit. Here's a hit. Here's the break. Came back down and retested it. I like this one better. And we can maybe slide this one down a little bit, see if we can get a couple of these two aligned with each other. That's not too bad. There we go. That's better. We have an anchor. Here's a hit. Here's a near hit. Here's a hit. Here's the break. Coming back to the retest this area. And on the pullback, and then so the target on this would be up around the 192.96. That's 20 pips from where it is right now. So we'd be looking at for a target. And we can probably have our 20 pips from the target to where it is right now. We have 26 pips. Going back to retest the moving averages. This is on a 15-minute chart. Let's go to a 5 or a 1. This is in an uptrend. This is in a little bit of a bounce pullback. Bounce pullback. New Zealand's showing some strength here. This one's kind of iffy right now on this chart. Looks like it's having a little bit of trouble getting through this little area. Let's take a look at what time. This price was at 192.78. Let's mark that one. 192.78, which is right where we got the alert, is there. It's pulling back. We have room to the upside. Not overly excited about this trade. And that's where those zones were showing up on your chart there, CB.
Yep, exactly.
I do like the fact this one's out of that 40-60 range. These are almost like RSIs. It's not exactly the RSI, but they kind of act a little bit like RSIs. Still showing British pound strength. British pound is starting to take over here. Nice little pullback. We actually have a little wedge right in here. This was the first breakout. Made a double top, came back down, retested. Let's look at our 1 minute chart on this. Let's see, one more thing here. The British pound is the strongest on 3 different time frames. New Zealand is relatively strong as well. It's not it wouldn't be a bad trade. It's not a great trade. I think you might run into a little consolidation, a little bit of a problem through this little. A lot of times you get this little triangle at the end of a move. Here's the move. This is on a 1 minute chart, so keep that in mind. Strong move down, came back down. Here's where it broke out the wedge, came back, retested, came back into the wedge, and now it's forming its own little wedge. But we have this. This is kind of the new playground over here. There's a high. Again, keep in mind we're on a 1 minute chart now, and things go a lot faster on that. But we do have room to the upside for the target. I wouldn't go much more than this target up here, the 92.96. This is at 92.79. Let's see if we have any fib lines here. And we're right at a red, green. There's the blue line. Broke through that one. I think I'm going to pass on it. There's other trades that are better than this one. I think we'll pass on that. We do have a little triangle right here. Here's a low, here's a high, higher low, lower high. We'll kind of flat top the top of this. And you have these wicks right here. Even on the 1 minute, you've got these wicks. Very, very little for the body. If it can break through this area right here, here's a green fib line. If we can get a pass, come back down and check off of that, then we may be able to go on up for that one. In that case, from this line to the blue line, we have 9 pips. I wouldn't go for more than 10 pips on this move at this point. And that's my assessment on that one. Not a great trade. Not totally bad, but not a great one. I think it's going to have some problems getting through this little wick area right in here.
Hey, Al.
Yes.
So it's been sort of interesting. I don't know if you've been looking at this. So you have that chart open right now with the fractals on it.
Mm-hmm.
I've been noticing, I mean, I know Jackie talked about this, and I just was kind of wondering your expert opinion here. When you looking at this chart, to me, to my eye, and I've been looking at a lot of charts with this now, when you look at these fractals, just about every time there is a fractal in a zone, it moves pretty well in the opposite direction right after it. Like, just use this chart as a simple example. Start on the left over there where there's that fractal way up in the third
Up here?
Yeah, or even the further one over. You can do any of them. Look at the fractals that are actually in the red zone and watch and look what happens to the price after those fractals. Just about every time. And then look at the green ones down there. When it's in the green zone, man, they make moves almost every time.
That's true. That would be a good indicate. That would be a good.
Just that, I've been watching. I'm like, as an example right now, I'm watching Bitcoin on the M5, and there was a fractal in a support zone, and I didn't take the trade because I'm still sort of watching it, but it's moving back up right now after there was a downward fractal in a support zone. It's just
you had it here. It came down to the next zone. It came back. Well, it formed another red zone. Interesting enough, it formed another red zone way over here. That's interesting. You have a red zone where I would normally think that's be a green zone, but then it got broken into a red. This may have been a green zone. When this thing came down from up here into this was probably green, but I'll bet it switched to red after it broke. So this is sort of like
not every move is the same, but it seems like, if you're pipping and dipping, 10 pips, 5-10 pips, it seems like most of these fractals get you 5 to 10 pips most of the time.
Yeah, I'm really inclined to go with the 5 or 10 pip moves and just load up the lot size. I'll tell you what, I'm going to.
Yeah, just an observation.
I'm gonna take this one because I think you're onto something there. I'm going to take this one. In fact, I'm going to take one. See, this is the British New Zealand, because it does have a little strength on the British side. British New Zealand. Let me see here. And we'll see.
If I had taken the Bitcoin fractal that I'm looking at here, I'd already be up almost 100 pips.
And that's significant for sure.
Yep. I didn't do it, but I'm looking at the Bitcoin chart. It's amazing. You put fractals on there, you can see every fractal, literally every one on this chart that hit a zone in the opposite direction. It made a move, and you would have made pips every time.
I wouldn't be surprised if it gets to be that turns into one of the strategies.
Yeah,
I'm going to go for 20, and I'm going to use a 20 pip stop, and I'm going to use a 10 pip target on this one. I do like the fact that this moving average is starting to curl up. We have closes above the moving average, and our target is still below where the 200 moving average is up in the red zone. Still looking for the red zone being the target. And we'll see what happens here.
Excuse me, Al.
Yes.
Daniel would like to know, how do you add fractals to your chart?
Okay, I can do that. You go over to here where it says, I believe it's Insert Indicator, and click on that arrow on the indicator. Come over here, come down here where it says Bill Williams. Have that drop down arrow, and right here is the fractals. Click on that. This little window comes up. You change the color to whatever color. I use yellow, and click OK, and they'll pop up. Simple as that. And we'll see if this one has the momentum to get you up on the next area here. These fractals are really, they're nothing more than they show pivot lines between three candles. You have a low with a wick in the middle, and 2 higher lows on either side on the bottom fractal. And when the ones where on the top, you have a pivot high and 2 lower highs on either side of it. And that's what generates the fractal. This does have some room to the upside. If we look at our heat map on this, we'll see that we have the British pound. This is a British New Zealand. On the lower time frames, British is still a little bit higher than the New Zealand, both stronger. This is the 15-minute. You got your 3-point spread here on the 30-minute. You have 3-point spread on the, well, you did, now we only have 2 points now between the British and New Zealand over here on the 15-minute. And then the 1 hour, the New Zealand is actually starting to take over on the 1 hour chart. So it is, the New Zealand is starting to gain a little bit of strength to the British pound. It's not a great trade, but it's one worth giving it a shot, I guess. I won't give it. I'm not going to spend all day with it. If it doesn't materialize within a couple hours, I'll probably pull the trade.
And hey, Al, just one comment, not to put a damper on your trade at all, but at least from this sort of fractal strategy, because there's a fractal now on the arrow candle there, that would scare me off.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to get these fractals all over the place.
I get it. I get it. You had a lot of good logic in your trade. I'm just from the straight fractal thing, perspective.
And keep in mind,
you may have already.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say the bottom fractal there prior to the arrow. Yeah, that one right there. That one there. You already made your money. It already made its move, and whether it continues or not is going to be. Right. This is more of just a traditional bag entry, obviously.
Yeah, and actually, if you were, see, that's where what did I just do? This one's probably this. If you grab the wrong line, you don't always know what you're getting here. Double check that. But anyway, when I try grabbing this, when you get this fractal here and it comes back out, and you get the close above, that's really the one that you really would have wanted to be.
Exactly.
That was the main one.
Exactly.
This was really the one that you have liked, but that was before the arrow. So there again, the arrow came a little bit later, and you have already been pretty much. And that's something else that sometimes, if you look at some of these other strategies, you're not going to be getting the arrow to really confirm it. Like, I mean, the original arrow strategy is bounce, arrow, go. It comes into a zone, bounces, gets you the arrow, and you take it the next trade. We've developed it to a lot of different strategies. See, actually, there's your 10 pips right there. You already got 14 pips. You already have 14 pips already from this area. So, from basic bag strategy, it still kind of fits the bag strategy. You have the bounce, you have the arrow. It bounced off of the zone. You have the arrow, and you can go. And the next zone is 20 pips away. So that still fits, and we have equal zones, red zones and green zones. So it's sort of like in a sideways motion, and basically it's been bouncing between these two zones here, back and forth. So it's not I'd say it's about I'd give it maybe a 55-45% positive to the upside. Certainly, if you only go for the less pips you go for, the more likely you are to make your target on this one. I would not be going for 20 pips on this trade. But there is 26 pips to the upside, so there's room. We have a chance to breathe, and we'll see what happens. Any other questions about that one? This wick right here has a little concern, but like I said, everything's still, the moving averages are still coming down. It's flattened out, and we have the cross above. We may get another little retest, but right now we have a little bit of a trend line of where these fractals are. We have a little bit of a trend line going to the upside. out of that zone. And that's a good sign. This one was penetrated a little bit. Here's the anchor. This one was a little bit more of a penetration than I would like, but it didn't really close. This candle did not close. It opened right there, but it opened right at the trend line, bounced, but it closed right up in here. So that's a valid anchor. Or there's anchor. Here's a hit. Here's a hit. And as long as it can stay above this trend line, we should be okay to keep this, stay in this trade. If not, I'll lose 10, 15 pips. Any other questions?
We have a question now.
Go ahead.
How do you read Bitcoin pips, please? Example, 20 pips equals 2,000 or 20,000? Thanks.
Maybe you can answer that one, CB. How do you consider your pips on the?
Yeah, I'll tell you, and you know I'm going to just make an interesting observation too about that, and then I'll tell you what I believe. When I, using my FX book to sort of verify what the pip count is compared to what Arrow says, what's interesting is for some reason Ethereum seems to be matching basically to what Arrow shows, where Bitcoin is, from what I can tell, 2 decimal places less. So in other words, you get into a Bitcoin, typically just from the spread, you're almost immediately like 1,000 pips down, on the Arrow chart, something like that. And from what I've observed, I had a couple successful Bitcoin trades yesterday where, it was 4-digit pips on Arrow, but it ended up being 2-digit, gains in my FX book. So I honestly, guys, I'm not 100% certain on this still, but I believe in converting from what you see in Arrow pips to what like my FX book shows is it's 2 decimal places less for real pips. So if you have 1,000 pips shown on Arrow, it's actually 10 pips.
That makes sense, because it's got like 50,000 to it's a $50,000 stock basically, or coin.
Yeah.
And so basically, if you just look at if it's showing like 1,000 pips, I think 10 pips would be probably more of the equation of what it would be.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right.
Sense. That would make sense.
Yep.
Basically 100 to 1.
Exactly.
Any other questions? Good question. Let's see. Is anybody out there still having VPS issues or VPS issues? Mine seems to be working pretty well here lately. I haven't had any issues with it that I could see.
Yeah, I will say with Arrow 4 too, the VPN issues are almost completely gone. So I know we all want it. Just note that it definitely helps the VPN speed, that's for sure.
Let's see. We were looking at the. Let's see, what was I looking at here? We were looking at a U.S. yen chart, U.S. Swiss chart earlier. And we had a wedge alert on the U.S. Swiss where it broke to the downside. It was at 6:15 in the morning. I think I lost my chart, but we can draw it back up again.
Was there any news supposed to come out at like 8 o'clock?
Yeah, there was some at 8:30. I believe there was at 8:30. We had.
Yes, I think
I'm
there
just
was.
sort of, I got some 5-minute alerts. The
Yeah.
euro yen just dumped like it looks like a news item type of parabolic dump for euro yen.
Let's see. This is March. I need to go back. Today we have. It was at 8:30 U.S. dollar core retail sales report.
Okay. Well,
So
that's nothing to do with the euro yen. But
no, it doesn't. That's about it wasn't a lot of big news today. This is where we had the alert. Yeah, this was the one that it broke, and it actually just sort of broke right down. This is one where we had that target down below here. It bounced right off that first target zone and just sort of sitting there making a little flag pattern. And I do think it could have some. We get a little bit of strength to the upside, and then it breaks down. We have a little triangle right in here, a little wedge. So there's a little flat top. It may go up a little bit higher here a little bit. I don't like it when it goes in the wrong direction. I like it better that way. Oops. If we get this thing starts to break, comes up, down, comes up, retests the trend line, and we may have another shot, something lower, maybe down right here to the 92.30 area. But again, nothing to really write home about on this one. How's our trade doing? It's not doing all that great, is it? And so I view this was more of like a 50-50 trade on this one. But it's still hanging in there. I would prefer to have my stop down a little bit lower down below where these wicks are. Rather have the stop down below this trend line a little bit, give it a little more room. If that thing starts to break through this trend line, then I'll just get out of this trade if I catch it in time. Give enough wiggle room to breathe a little bit. And that's sort of the trend line right there. It's basically coming down to retest the zone here. Get the bounce off the trend line and see if it can go on up and get us a little bit of profits on this. New Zealand USD, let's take a look at that one. Where to go? Where to go? Here it is. Ooh, that's got lots of room. Lots. Nice big candle there. Just comes right up into the zone. Not much of a place to take it. We're in a downtrend with an up arrow. Double check that. Slide this thing over. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like it's about equal downtrend, uptrend. But we're still coming right up into the zone. Actually, I'm a little surprised we didn't get a fractal on this one here. Oh, I still don't have the fractals on here. That's why. That would have been a fractal there. But here's the arrow. Here's the close of the arrow, and you're right up to the zone. So there's no room for that trade. A little too late. We have 5 pips to the target. And it looks like the New Zealand's starting to pick up a little strength here.
Is it my eyes or did that gap up?
There is a little bit of a gap right here. Yeah, from the arrow to there's a little bit of a gap. It might just be the spread, where someone just met the sell order. But there is a little bit of a gap there. You're right. Here was the close, and here was the next candle. It's basically the buyers came in, and then the buyers, there was a sell order there, and the buyers met that sell order rather than the sell order coming down to meet the buy order. But right now, the New Zealand is the strongest. The British pound's losing some strength, so that's not going to bode well for our trade. But there's no trade here either. It's way too late. If we got it down, if we got the arrow off of this other candle, that may have worked a little bit better. But the arrow was a little bit late in the game on this one. That would have only been 15 pips, but so we wait some more. Here was a green zone that was violated, so it actually is starting to change. We went from being into an uptrend to being sideways trend right now. That's one reason I like having these little arrows here. I keep these arrows on the charts so I can see where there was a zone at one point in time. You can see it. So there was a green zone right here, and now it's gone. And now looking at the next lower green zone. So that green zone was penetrated, went away, and still making, so it's starting to possibly do some turning around here. And so now we have equal zones. So we're uptrend and downtrend. So trend is basically sideways. Any other questions? Looks like it's kind of a quiet day, another quiet day today. And until then, we just have to wait and see, wait for what the market gives us today.
Have you noticed any error alerts? I mean, I'm sorry, Iris.
Iris alerts? No, we had, the last one we had was that one at 6:15 this morning.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if
So we nothing new, no new ones on, no new error alerts on that.
Okay, thank you.
What we could do though is take a look at the, let's see here. Take a look at the New Zealand USD. Well, that's what we're looking at right now. That one just shot up, and New Zealand is the strongest compared to the weakest, which is the dollar. So the dollar is weak, the New Zealand's strong to the upside. And let's see. Let's have the New Zealand euro. New Zealand's strong to that as well. Let's take a look at the New Zealand. Maybe we catch that one before it breaks out. Euro, New Zealand, euro, New Zealand. That's pretty much the same picture here. It's already broken down against the euro. New Zealand strength. No arrow there. Let's see if I'm in a chart, see what that looks like. Little zone right here. Really nothing there to too close to the green zone there, and see, there's probably some room to the other one, but you have another. But we know there's a zone in here that's could be a problem. We are showing weakness on the euro.
You have a question on a different chart.
Okay. Look at gold on the 5-minute. I'm showing a hard bounce off the 38 level of the fib. So gold 5-minute. Let's take a look at that one. Gold. Let's see. 30 level of the hard bounce off the 38 level. I'm assuming you're looking at from this up move for the hard bounce off of this area, I think is what you're talking about.
I think I meant the 38% on the fib.
Yeah, I'm just thinking which move is he talking about. So I'm looking at from the uptrend, pulled back. That was the 50% retracement off of this up move. That's that one. I'm seeing a bounce off the 50% of the up. So we have this move up. I may just get it up high enough here. No, there it is. Here's the top. So here's the move to the upside. Had a hard down, came back down, retraced at the 50% level of the move, and came back up and retesting the zero line. So I'm not sure.
Is your bottom line too low, Al? I don't see a wick that you're.
Yeah, I've got a wick right there.
But does that go all the way down? That wick? I don't see it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it does. If my eyes aren't deceiving me.
It's hard to. Oh yeah, I think I can see.
Yeah,
it.
yeah. There's a wick right there. Yeah, there's a wick all the way down.
I do, and sometimes I don't.
Yeah. So we could move this thing up to this one. I suppose we could, and that might be what he's looking at.
No, he said I went to yesterday's low on gold.
Yesterday's low.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, let's see what yesterday's low was.
Oh wow. Okay.
That would make a difference. Then we go to from yesterday's low to yesterday's high. But then I'm looking at the bounces at 79%. That's still when. So you go from low to high, comes back down, it retraced to 79% of the move, and it's coming back up to retest. And now you do have a little bit of a trend going on right here. I have a high, lower high, retested down below, and then so I'm looking at this as there's a trend there. There's your little wedge. Strong move up, came back down, retested moving averages, penetrated the arrow moving average. Now this is now we're keep in mind we're on a 1 hour chart now. But this is the range that's in from here to here. So it is getting lower highs and higher lows inside this range.
Al, Rich said he used the wick at the beginning of the time zone of yesterday.
This one here?
Yeah.
That's all pretty much at the same. I mean, I guess there's a little bit of a difference. It's not going to make that much of a difference as far as the retracement. This is the retracement that we're looking at. I said that's in the 62 to 79% range right here. It did penetrate the arrow. And this could be considered a Fibonacci move because it did, you know, the fact it penetrated the 62% to 79 held, you would have had to have your stop below the 79 level. 5 pips below, I would have kept it below the moving average if you're going to take that one long. But I mean, right now it's somewhat range bound. The more classic Fibonacci move would have been more like this one down here, where you have, I don't really like seeing the 79% retracement off of Fibonacci. That just gets to be a bit, like I like this one right here. And see down here, here's where you got the 38% retracement from the stronger move up, much stronger move up, pulled back. I like the 38. When it starts getting the 50 to 62, that's a pretty strong pullback. But if it's if it's still in an uptrend, generally speaking, I like seeing the 38% pullback because that tells me it usually has a little bit more room to go back to the upside. It's not getting, the sellers aren't getting the strength coming to drive it on down. Right now here, the buyers still have a little bit more in control. And you see it's just throwing sideways. It did poke up into the zone. And, but I like that move a little bit better than the other one. This was more of a trend, more so than a Fibonacci. I mean, you could probably argue the case, I suppose. But, I like seeing a little bit stronger push. Like this one, see how this one just goes almost straight up. This one kind of goes a little bit more on an angle. The shallower the angle, the less I like it, especially for a momentum move. If it has a really strong move up like that, I like the 38%. If it goes more of an angle, then you're looking at the 50, 62% retracement. But then you're really just getting into another, basically a wedge pattern there. But right now, I don't see this thing having any real clear direction. Other than being range bound. And that's about all I have to say about that.
You said thank you, Al.
Let's see, what else do we have here? Anything else? Nope. Let's see. And boy, slow morning. New Zealand USD, we're still talking about, we still had that one, nothing new with that, I don't think. The trade's starting to come back again. This British New Zealand is starting to behave itself a little bit better.
We just got a bunch of M15s here.
Ooh, yeah, we did, sure did. CAD yen, Euro yen, a lot of yen. This must be around 8:30, I'll bet. Yep, just got the announcement here. CAD yen. So let's take a look at the CAD yen. I'll look at the CAD yen. If one of you can look at the Euro yen and someone else look at the Euro CAD.
I'll have a look at the Euro CAD.
Okay, I'll take the CAD yen, and CB, if you could do the Euro
Good
yen.
I've looked at them all already.
Oh, okay. Anything jumping out at you?
Nothing jumped out at me. Sorry.
Well,
Yeah. You're faster than the average human being.
Well, it's the Arrow 4.0, right? I just pressed
Oh, that's
a button.
right. Well,
Yeah.
That's sweet. Euro yen.
Yeah,
That's
Euro.
why we have you, and you got the secret sauce in there. Yeah, that's all back into the zone right there. And Euro CAD.
It's no good either. It's right in his zone.
I didn't think this was going to be a slow week, but looks like it's turning into being. Tomorrow will be a stellar day. You just wait and see. Yeah, nothing. Everything's very, very range bound. Nothing to write home about. Any other questions? We have about another 25 minutes before the 9 o'clock arrow session. Thought we were going to get something on this one here. So I got Aussie USD on a 5 minute. That means my chart's on a 5 minutes. Let me get that back to where it belongs. Maybe tile everything. Check my charts to make sure I'm on the right time frame. Again, you can't get the right
In the
alerts
chart,
if you don't have it on the right time frame. This is on 1 hour. I could get that back on a 5 minute. Gold. That gold back on 5 minute.
actually, Romario is asking if we can look at the US yen. Do you want to expand on that a little bit, Romario? What is it that you want us to, what is it you're seeing?
US yen. US yen. You have a bounce off a zone. That's good. Let's see what the trend is here. Take that. We're in an uptrend. So we had a green zone here, which is no longer there. So it means the trend is starting to change a little bit. So it took out a green zone with this pullback, but still has this one level. So we're still in an uptrend. I like having it stop down below this area. We did have the bounce. We don't have an arrow yet, but this one could possibly give us something in time. I don't know what actually generates the arrows, so that's kind of a significant piece of the pie that we don't know.
He's saying he's been in a trade since yesterday. Are you in a buy trade? I'm assuming if you're still in it, that must be
Yeah, we took a buy on that yesterday, I believe.
okay.
And it went down, it went up, it went sideways, and last night I finally got out of the trade.
I actually had some profit from that one, Al.
I
got like I think I got like 6 or 7 pips out of it or something like that.
Okay, well, you got more than I got out of it. Yeah, I basically broke it. I got a little bit of profit on this platform, and I got right at break even on my other platform that I took a trade on.
Got it.
But it was one of those things where it was just very, very tight trading, and it was. I said a lot of times if it doesn't materialize within a couple hours, I start looking at just getting out of it because I'm not one to sit and nurse something for days at a time. If it doesn't materialize, that means something wasn't the momentum or the something wasn't quite right to generate the profits that I was looking for. I don't have the patience to be a swing trader where I'm looking for, those big moves. I mean, as well that you like to get those big moves, but you have to be able to have the patience to be able to wait for them. Some things I'll buy and hold it, and I'll hold it for years. Other things I tend to be out of it in 20 minutes. If I buy gold, it's usually I'm buying gold and I just hang on to it for decades. But it's just more of a buy for different reason than to generate capital. Let's see. New Zealand yen. We already talked about those, I think. The yen is getting stronger a little bit. So these currencies are all over the charts they're just jockeying for positions like crazy here today. much more so than other times. British Swiss. Let's take a look at the British Swiss. Maybe it's something there. US Swiss. Had to break out. British Swiss. It's breaking out as well. There's the British Swiss trading to the strength of the British. Swiss is weak right now. I'm going to change the colors of this one. I thought I'd keep changing these, and I keep on. Purple one's the British. That's strong. Very weak zone up here. This thing could actually rocket to the upside here. Wait for a pullback. We had a nice little trend line that broke. There's a nice little trend. Oops. Here's right here. Here's the anchor. Here's a hit. Here's a hit. I should have another hit right here. We had the breakout right here around 7:45 this morning. You see it broke, came back, retested. No, this is on a 15-minute chart. So let's go to a 5-minute chart, and we'll see what we have for a 1-minute chart. Let's see how we can see how it broke, came back, retested the trend line. That was your entry. Wait for the pullback and follow it on up. So we have another trend going on right here. Could justify looking at for pullbacks on this one for right now. I don't know how long it will last, but we had the break. Here's the anchor. Here's the hit. Here's the retest. Look over to the left and see where our target would be. Go back to our 15-minute chart. And so here's the first area that's got to get through. So here's a little drop, little basing, drop. This isn't real. This, take a look at this. See how this is like, boom. This one is like, let's go down. Let's go down a little bit more. Let's go down a little bit more. This one's a lot shallower than this move. That's where I like the moves like this to come back up and retest. So right now, this little zone right here on this big move down, here's this little retest zone. So I'll come over here and look at this and pull this on over. And you see that it came back strong down, retested it, boom. Came back down, retested, boom. Now it's coming back to this, the next zone to be looking at. This will be a target. But it's going to have to get through this little area right here first. But I'll be putting this as a supply zone. And this would be these would be some target areas, some possible retest areas. Retest. So there's one area right there. Here's another area. So it's not going to be a clear shot going up.
We just had a gold alert, but price is right in the middle of a zone and it's counter trend.
Oh, that's not good.
No.
So see how this was see how it bounced right off of that area? So it's going to have to get through this little zone here. So this was a little bit of a retest, but it's retesting it. It's going to come back down, probably retest the trend line. But it's got to get through this little area right in here. Once it gets through that, then it's pretty much going to be, there's another small little area right here. But and these are all significant points of the little pause areas. This is where you sort of wait for that pullback and have it take another run for it. But you did pull back so you can maybe get enough pips to. It might go a little deeper the next time it comes up and penetrates it. Let's go to our 1 minute chart. Here's our trend line. Come back, let it retest the trend line. If it can retest the trend line, say right here. Remember, this is an ascending trend line, so it's getting closer and closer. So the further this price comes before it hits the trend line, the less profit you're going to be getting before it's going to retest that area. But from right here to here, you still have 9 pips, 10 pips to the body of the little doji there. So you still have some room, but I'd be looking at having to take this. Now, if it comes down, breaks this trend line, comes down and breaks it, comes back up, retests it, then this is going to be the next target down there. If it just bounces, then this is the target up here. And between here and here, there's a little bit more room than the other side. That's 17 pips. And that's the analysis on that one. And the, see, this is British, and the British is getting weaker again across the board. The British has been all over the place. It's been strong and it's been weak and strong and then weak. So all these currencies have been, they're really jockeying for all kinds of positions all over the place here today. Generally, you'll see them a little bit more stable than this, but I'm just seeing them all over the place.
Al,
Yes.
on that last currency, your RCSs look like they were the same color or ever so slightly off.
The RCS. Oh,
This is
yeah,
colors.
that was, I need to fix that on all the charts. I haven't,
Okay. All right.
yeah, this one I should change it to, I like having the British one being purple, for kind of purple.
Okay.
For some reason it's not
I can
saving
tell
it
the
for
gray
some
and
reason.
white.
Yeah, I noticed that too. It's hard to tell. I usually kind of just know them by the color, so I don't have to keep the label on here. If I put the labels on, then it's got labels all the way up here, and the less labels I have on my charts, the happier I am. So if I keep everything somewhat color coordinated, that keeps that at bay.
We just got a Euro Aussie.
You got a Euro Aussie? I got an Aussie Swiss. Oh, wait, let's see.
The alert that just came through. Did you not get the Euro
Euro,
Aussie?
yeah, I got it. My little tab was down here. Euro Aussie. Let's take a look at that. Maybe just give us something here for it might be worth. Yeah, that's not looking very good either. Euro Aussie to the short. The Aussie strong right now to the. So these are happening after the fact as I see the. See, that's at 53.96. And there's like no room there. It's like 4 pips, 5 pips. No trade there. And this is trading. You just don't always get what you want. But there may be more of this after that. After the 9 o'clock session, there may be more. You just have to be. You're like a hunter. You just keep sitting there waiting for the targets to come by. Let's see, I need to get my green one on here. And that's be 1.53, 1.54, 1.54, call it. Excuse me. Well, this would be the target on this. And so you can see there's just no room for a target on that. In this trade we were looking at, which I actually did take, this British New Zealand, it's still down, still playing around with 5 pip range here. British New Zealand. Still respecting this bottom trend line. This is one we had all the fractals that we were looking at. Still looking for our target. Make sure my targets are correct here. I think I moved that line a little bit. Our entry price was at 92.78, so 92.58. Actually, I'm gonna give it 48. And then my target was 10 pips, so it'd be 92.88. Close enough there. It's starting to break even here a little bit. And so we've been in this trade for, let's see, we got in this one at 14, say roughly 1,500. Basically been in this one for a half an hour so far. Not over the top, not bad, but not great either. And so this one could be bouncing around like this for the, I mean, it's basically hasn't traded in the range of it's from the low, but basically at 10 o'clock to last 5 hour range has only been it's 50 pips, range about 10 pips an hour, basically. But it hasn't really done much in the last hour. In the last hour, it's only done maybe 10, 15 pips, maybe. No, 27 pips. That's more than I thought. It's going to be deceiving on different time frame charts. Well, I wish we had more to offer everybody today, but it is what it is. Like I said, you take what the charts give you and try and capitalize on what they show you.
Al, 10-minute countdown.
Minute countdown, 5-minute countdown. Okay,
10.
10 minute. Yeah, actually, I think we'll probably wrap this up 5 minutes before. That gives everybody a chance to get in that other room at 9 o'clock. There's nothing much going on here today. All I can do is answer questions and shed some light on some problem areas that people may be having. Any other questions?
If you have a moment and there aren't any questions at the moment, can you have a quick look at the Euro CAD?
Okay, sure. Euro CAD, here we go. Ooh, I like this one. Let's see, are we in a downtrend? We are in a downtrend. Lots of room to the euro. Just became very weak. And
Euro did.
euro came, yeah, euro's very weak right now. This one, and this was on a, why did we not, this one just, we just had that alert 10 minutes ago. This one could be a trade, but it's kind of got, this was the entry right here. How'd that happen? Open. Looks like about 148. 88, we'll call it. 1.4888. Target.
I think that it came
24.
through. I think there was a zone in its way when it came through. It
Could
came
be.
through 20 minutes ago or so.
Yeah, this thing is this one's shooting pretty. This is nice little drop. We got a little bit of area right in here we have to be careful of. And let's see how much far out of the chute is this. I don't like chasing trades. This one was from here to here. It's already 10 pips out of the chute. That's halfway to your profit target.
And how much is it to the next?
I think this thing's got room to the down. Certainly has room to the downside. Down to 24 pips. The euro got real weak all of a sudden. If I can get a little bit of a pause in here, I might be, if we can get a little bit of a trend in this little area right now, I may be apt to try and take that one. This one's starting to get profitable.
Apparently there's a small zone on the 5 minute. But then we're really, I mean,
You gotta be careful of this little area right in here.
yeah,
That's probably that zone you're looking at on the 5 minute.
yeah.
I would be willing to bet. Yep. I would like to see a little bit of a bounce off of this area. Get a little triangle off of this. We can get a bounce in this direction a little bit, not very big. The flat top across the top. And this could be a little trap in here. Be careful with this because that zone's still there. It's not a real strong zone, but it's nonetheless, this price has found its way into that area right over here. I would say if it could come up and retest the top of that blue line, that top line, if it could come up and retest this area in here, then I could take a shot at it. Until then, I don't see it to be a trade. It's already past the prime of it. But if it can get through this area right here, then I say take it, go and take it short. I think we're in a downtrend. Are we? Definitely in a downtrend. Yep. And do we just get our profit on this? We did. British New Zealand. Yeah, we just got our target on. That's British New Zealand. And then we're going to wrap it up here. Keep an eye on that. What's that one we just looked at? Keep an eye on that one.
EuroCAD.
EuroCAD. Keep an eye on that one. That might be a possibility. And the British New Zealand. Let's see where that British New Zealand. It was the one trade we did take, and it did make the target. So I only had a very tight target. I only had a 10 pip target on that thing, but it bounced off the trend line and came up, and this is that fractal move we were talking about earlier. We had the fractals here, and we'll see if it comes. If you're still in it, still has some room to the upside. It's finally starting to break out at the top of these. So with that, again, I'm going to wrap this thing up today. Any last questions before we wrap it up? If not, thanks again, Charles and our CB and Eva and Christine. Thanks again for all your help. Thanks everybody for showing up. Always appreciate having you. Appreciate all the questions, and makes things a little bit more interesting so we have something to talk about. And stay
Thanks,
green,
Al.
stay safe, and we'll talk to everybody later. See you tomorrow.
Y'all
Thanks,
tomorrow.
Bye, everybody. God bless.